Good evening, BookTube. Welcome to my channel. I'm Jim, and this is Jim Reads Too Slow. It's a crisp 28-degree evening here. Got a little chilly today. I'm going to warm up with what I got the other day. It's a High West rye store pick. It's very good. A little bit goes a long way. Wet my whistle a little bit. Just got back with the wife from the new, we saw the new Spider-Man movie. I would say go and see it. We really liked it. Give it 2 thumbs up. Your mileage may vary. So tonight I'm going to do another book tag. This one's been around for a while. It's the Anti-TBR Tag. So we're going to get a little negative. Not too bad, except for maybe one Nobel Prize winner that some of you may be in love with. This tag originated with Nicole and her books. I'll leave a link below along with the questions. It's been around since September of 2020, and most of you have probably done it. So I'll jump right in. The first question is to name a popular book that everyone loves that you have no interest in reading. And I'm just at this point in my reading, I really don't know enough about current fiction to weigh in on this. So I'm going to go with The Lyrics by Sir Paul McCartney. Everyone loves that one, right? It's a bestseller. But at this point in my life, I am Beatles'd out. I'm well past that point, the point of no interest. That could very well change, but maybe not. Number 2, name a classic book or author that you don't have an interest in reading. I'm going to go with For Whom the Bell Tolls by Ernest Hemingway. I tried to read this one in high school, but I didn't get through it. And then I beat myself up for a long time afterwards, convinced myself that I was going to go back to it and finish it, bask in the Hemingway genius. But, you just can't read them all. So at some point you have to move on. And I moved on from this one. Number 3, name an author whose books you have no interest in reading. And a second part to this, or a second question, name a problematic author whose books you have no interest in reading. And it says you can combine these two or do them separately. I'm gonna combine them. I'm going to say Ernest Hemingway and anything written by Ernest Hemingway. I should say that I have read A Movable Feast, and I've read a few of his short stories, and I have most of his books. But I'm more than happy to just move on. I also have read and seen enough about Hemingway as a person that there are things about him that I just can't get past. For one thing, he didn't seem to have any kind of moral code, any loyalty to anyone other than his own career, to himself. He was willing to stab anyone in the back, even people who had been longtime friends, if it would help him get ahead. He was also a serial adulterer, so he obviously had no respect for women. And torturing animals was a prime form of entertainment for him. Granted, he was a troubled person, but I know people who live with mental disabilities and they aren't scumbags. So I know it can be done. Plus, there's just too much that I want to read. So I'm happy to move on from Hemingway. But before I found the soapbox, I was almost going to say Stephen King. But the more I think about it, the more I think that I could be convinced to read a novel or two by King. Number 4, name an author you have read a couple of books from and have decided their books are not for you. Well, this author I didn't really finish any of his books that I started. But I would have to say that what I have read of John Updike has done absolutely nothing for me. And it did not hold my interest at all. So, not for me. Number 5, name a genre that you have no interest in, or a genre you tried to get into and couldn't. I'm going to say, despite the fact that I've read some Lovecraft short stories and didn't mind them, actually liked them, horror is a genre that I am not at all interested in. Number 6, name a book you bought but will never read. Or this can be a book that you have unhauled, which is not a real word, or returned to the library unread. It's not a book that I bought. I have to be totally on board with reading a book before I actually take the step of buying one. Because I know that as soon as I do, my anxiety is going to kick in. And that little voice is going to start chastising me for my stupidity. And my only defense against that voice, against myself, is the assurance that at some point I, in fact, will read this book that I had just wasted my money on. So I'm going to go with a library book here. This is a book that I got home from the library with. At the library, I thought, ooh, I've heard things about this book. I've heard of it, and it's supposed to be pretty good. But I got it home and thought, ugh, there's really no way I'm actually going to read this book. And that is the one volume, The Decline of the West by Oswald Spengler. No interest at all in that book. Number 7, a series that you have no interest in reading, or a series you started and have DNF'd. Now, no interest in, that may be a little misleading, but I'm going to say, because I love the books in this series that I have read, the Shannara series by Terry Brooks. I read the original trilogy. I read them with my son when he was a youngster. I loved them. And then by the time I got around to where I might go back to them and read, some of the later ones, there were like 30 of them. And I just thought, there's no way. That's going a little overboard. So I went back to remembering how much I love the original 3, and that's fine. Also, Game of Thrones. Number 8, a new release you have no interest in reading. New release. Okay, take 2. Question number 8. A new release that you have no interest in reading. A new release. Well, like I said, I'm not really a current fiction person at this point. I hope that changes. But for now, unless Thomas Pynchon is promising to come out with another one, or there's a new edition of a book that I already love, for example, that one volume Lord of the Rings with Tolkien's own artwork in it, I'm just really not all that interested in any new releases at this point. So that's it. That is the Anti-TBR Tag. I thank Nicole and her books. Please don't hate too much on me for the Hemingway stuff. Although if you do, there's not a whole lot I can do about it. So I'm sure most of you have done this one already, but just in case, any of you who haven't, you're it. So let's hear what books you intend to not read. So I guess for now, I'll sign off. Thanks for letting me waste your time. Until next time, BookTube,